The Big Ten and the SEC, this is by no means a surprise. This is Brandon Marcello. They're teaming up to form an advisory committee to examine the future for college sports. Sankey, the SEC commissioner, we do not expect to agree on everything, but enhancing interaction between our conferences will help to focus efforts on a common sense solution. The Big Ten, you see it at the top, substantial investment in the NCAA. Bottom line here, this is part of every time you turn around, you think, okay, now it's about Tennessee, Virginia against the NCAA, but there's always been that kind of out there, the cloud, that there might be something additional or separated from what we have now when it comes to FBS or the Power Five and parts of the others group of five. And this is just a start. Maybe they felt like, you know what, we haven't got enough attention lately. We're going to do this and let people know we are serious about getting it done.
Yeah, I don't think it's that. I think it's that something has to give, because I think that they can read the room and realize, as much as people want to say the TV ratings are the best they've ever been, that may very well be true, but I don't think that the sport's the best it's ever been. I don't think that it's been on a trajectory of being the best that it's ever been, because there's just too much outside nonsense going on, and we've had more coaches in the last 24 hours either be rumored to leave the college ranks or look like they're leaving the college ranks to go do something else in the pros, and that is not, I think, becoming coincidental now at this point. I think that is a sign of sort of what was being said here and there all along, of coaches not being all that excited about this era and what you have on your plate as a college coach versus, let's say, an NFL coach or a high school coach even. And we talked to Joe Gillespie earlier this week, and he's like, I'm going back to high school ranks. Now, I don't know what his offers were, but I feel like he could have stuck around like A&M Commerce or some level of football. Guy was just, coaching in a national championship game 2 years ago, but he's in the high school ranks again, and we're seeing various others. There's rumors about Chip Kelly. Is he about to leave UCLA to go be an OC in Washington? So we all know it's crazy, even the ones who don't have to really worry about it all that much, your Alabamas, your schools in those conferences. I think they realize, too, that this is unsustainable the way that it is, or it's just not the best way that it can be. So I'm very hesitant to give them too much credit, because we're here primarily because of those two conferences. Remember the alliance the Big Ten was a part of, and what that turned into? The death of one of the members, and the other one's teetering right now. And the one that was also part of that, the Big Ten, is the only one that's really all that unfazed or healthy at the moment. How'd this all get started? Texas and Oklahoma.
That's what launched it, yeah.
I mean, that's where you can kind of start this chapter of realignment. I mean, there's obviously been other realignment before, but that's really where it started, was Texas and Oklahoma, and then what? Big Ten with USC and UCLA. So all this conference realignment has had to do with outside factors like television contracts and these various things, but you can't sit there and tell me that those two didn't have a driving force in all that's going on right now. And so basically what this is those two realize they're the most powerful people in the room, and that nothing's going to get done without them, and that basically everybody else could go and form committees and do all of the work, but those two could just say, no, we don't want to do that, and then it doesn't matter. So the guys who matter in the decision-making the most are finally going to just go ahead and start making some decisions, or at least forming this committee to get input and research and due diligence on the best steps moving forward for college football. And since they are at the top level, you hope that can get solved and then trickle down, and then we can go to a place in time where we can just kind of worry about the sports again and not so much about all of the outside noise and nonsense that's going on. So that's the hope here, is what that is. Some are taking this as though it's the first step towards them breaking off, and I think the first steps have already been taken for that, quite honestly. Maybe this is the next big visible public step towards that, but if you read the write-ups on it, that's not what they're attempting to do. At least that's what they say. Now, I realize, too, that things get said and then they don't always turn out to be the case, like the Big Ten with the Alliance.
Yes.
So you can't only believe people as much as you so choose to there, but I do think there is actually a focus on the greater good here, and the fact that everybody knows that some things need to get done or worked on or changed to get out of the courtrooms all the time and to get just onto the actual jobs that you were hired to do. And so I think this is a step for that. To the extent that it affects everybody else outside of those two, they are all going to be affected, because this is covering the NCAA. But in the articles, it makes mention that this is not the intent to start breaking away. This is more just trying to solve the issues at hand in college football. And there's quotes in there from both commissioners talking about not trying to get rid of the NCAA or dissolve it or anything like that, or even go and do their own thing necessarily. But these are those initial continued steps towards whatever this thing looks like on the other end. That's what we know. We can't necessarily say it's going to be this thing, but we know it's going to be different. That's what everybody can agree on. And so this is a big move in whatever that different is going to look like ultimately.
All right, so there you go with that. It's just one more story in the overall landscape of college football. Back to what happened, what was